Welcome back to Fitness Manifesto. I am one of your hosts, Kim, and joining me is
Justin. Welcome to this new show that we've started, which focuses on life, awesomeness, friendship, and fitness as a whole. So let's dive into today's topic. What do you think?
Let's do it.
I'm going to tell you, that was not, Kim is usually like, when we joined today, she didn't like the way I introduced myself because I was trying to figure out the background, but I corrected it later.
It was all over the place.
It was sporadic. You don't seem to be selling this here. What's going on today?
Well, no, I think it's a great topic. I do, because I am in the middle of it. I am struggling myself with setbacks. So let's rock it out.
All right. So we've hinted at the subject a little bit off and on throughout the 7 months, I think, now we've been on air. So high five to us. So what we want to talk about today is because as we start going into the second quarter, which again is crazy to think about. Today we're recording on the 31st. I can't believe tomorrow's April 1st.
I can't either. Where is this year gone to begin with? But to think that we're already going into the second quarter, I mean, it's incredible.
It's weird. And one of the things I was thinking about too is not just all the craziness that went on, but like we've already had some amazing guests this year too. And it's just
yes, we have. And many more to come.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that is hard for a lot of people that are really motivated this topic really hit home with me because I was on an interview on Tuesday. And one of the things we talked about was like the drive, what keeps you going. And I started telling some stories about when I was first in entertainment and how I gave myself 6 months to break through. And it was literally like the last week of that 6 months, everything kind of fell into place. We talked about like, was it ego driven? And I said, at first it probably felt that way. But as I look back, it wasn't ego, it was drive. Like I wanted it so bad that I wasn't going to let anything stand in the way of my success.
Interview.
No, when I was first starting entertainment. So like when I was 20.
Oh, you said I was on the interview and I was like, what?
Oh, no. I was on a podcast. Okay. I was getting interviewed on a podcast and you
did not give a good explanation. Got it.
You'd think after all this time of storytelling that all the details would be there, but that's why Kim's here. This is why you need a partner. And this is part of Setbacks is a couple things we talked about. And I think it's really important here as well is having a resource that you can talk to about it. Because as Kim has found out over the last year or so, I'm not a real open person per se. And I don't like to talk about myself. I don't talk about my successes. I don't talk about failure. I just don't talk about myself. I talk a lot. I just don't talk about myself.
He does that.
I think part of a big piece of setbacks and getting over them quickly, though, is having someone that you can confide in and talk to about it. Because having that outlet, having that opportunity to go through it, maybe they're not going through the same thing, but they're going through something as well. And getting a different, a different perspective, a different feedback, and just an overall outlet to be able to express yourself to, I think is so important. And for me, I think one of the best ways of dealing with setbacks is just that alone, is that realizing you're not alone, no matter what you're going through. And I know it sounds horrible to say that, but I mean, if you go throughout time, someone has been through a situation as bad as yours, most likely a lot worse, it's going to be okay.
Having that person that you can lean on or just talk to, or even someone like me who asks you 31 questions. Eventually I'll pull it out of you, which I did. And once you talk about it, you feel better. Being able to vocalize it sometimes is not a bad thing.
No, I don't think it hardly ever is a bad thing. I think part of the issue, and I know a lot of my clients suffer from this because it's one of those things, it's so easy to give advice and sometimes it's hard to take your own advice. It's very interesting because a lot of people I find struggle with that inner voice that they have, that it projects something that could happen, possibility, but it's never the optimistic side that says, hey, this could be a great outlet for whatever. It's the, oh God, what if I feel rejected? What if I get that? It's those what if scenarios that come up. And I think having a safe space where you can just talk about it openly and not worry about the repercussions of it, healthy. And I think it's really important.
Well, I think a lot of the times you get stuck in your own head with it as well, just like you said. And then you play the what if game. If you don't do anything, you'll never know if any of those are true or not. By vocalizing it, you're bringing it to reality, whereas it's not just in your head. You're bringing it to right in front of you where you have to address it.
I mean, great insight. But I also think that it's not just addressing it, it's also letting it go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you hold on to it, it turns into poison and it just brings you down and makes it worse. And it may not just make that situation worse. It could be a poison and attach onto everything else and make everything else worse, and bring you down. And you don't need that. Don't let that poison grow. Let it go.
You know what? I just on a side note, when we're talking about this here, I couldn't help when you said, don't let it bring you down, let it go. I was thinking of let it go, let it go.
And then you're going to sing Frozen.
But that is a perfect song. And I'll tell
It's
you,
true.
so my son, do you watch Ted Lasso? I can't remember or not.
Yes. Yes. We
Okay.
love Ted Lasso.
Season 3 just came out. And so he started watching with Kelly and I. But since Kelly's out of town, we went back and started watching the first season. So he's getting caught up and I'm watching it with him. I found myself last night. It was the episode. If you haven't seen Ted Lasso, just letting you know, this is a spoiler of part of it. When Jamie leaves and goes to Man City, I'm not going to lie. I actually got a little teary eyed. And it was one of those things that I think we've all been there in those tough situations. And I think realizing, understanding his pain, like he had no one to talk to. He was feeling, he got caught in his head, all those things we're talking about here. And I think for me, it was like going through some of that stuff, personally seeing that, I was like, God, thank God, like someone wrote about this. That means it happened and it sucks seeing what he's going through. And I'm going through nothing as drastic as that, but something, and it's insane. Thank you for bringing it out of me, Kim. And also I think having that resource and that comfort to be able to do that, it's very, very important.
It is. It absolutely is. You've got to have somebody who you can air your dirty laundry to, if you want to call it that. You've got to have somebody who you can open up to. You don't keep it locked in. In the end, it's not worth it. It is absolutely not worth it because the only person who it hurts is you, for one, but then your loved ones around you, because they'll see it on you. They'll see it wearing you down. Something's on your chest. Get it off. Life is too short to have to deal with stuff like that. It's only temporary. Think about that. It's temporary. Just let it go and move on.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you ever need to understand how short time is, have kids. Because Kelly, if you have an iPhone, every so often it pops up with a memory. And so it showed when Seth was born, and I'm looking at him going, I'm sure you do this with TJ. Like, holy crap, I forgot you were that young. And it doesn't seem that long ago. It's insane.
Yeah, well, yeah, TJ he graduates next year. How easy is that to think that he's going to college? Time has gone way, way too fast. Way too fast.
Oh, absolutely. And some of our friends here, it's funny what they really care about and what they prize themselves on. Like kids are the most innocent. I mean, but they're just truth tellers, right? They spit by accident things they shouldn't say.
I don't think that's just kids.
Yeah, but they're notorious for it.
They say it innocently. That's for sure.
There you go. That's probably the best way to say it. And this friend of ours, Kelly does this tennis weekend every year. And one of the women that's going with her husband is here and her daughter happened to come over the other night because we were going to cheer practice together. And listening to her talk about her dad was so funny. They have 4 kids total and there's 2 boys, 2 girls. And so on Saturdays, the boys go and play baseball and he goes to the truck and takes a nap the whole time they play. And he
doesn't watch them.
That was the whole point. That's kind of where I'm going here. Like, I'm like, you don't get another chance at this. Like, there's no other game. They're not going to be this way for very long. You got to take advantage of it. And trust me, I mean, I know you've been there. There are many days where I'm just exhausted. I don't even want to get out of bed. Right. But you got to do it for them. And it was just so funny listening to her because she's like, yeah, it just sucks when my mom goes out of town because there's not even, baseball's boring to begin with. My dad goes and sleeps in the car and there's not even good snacks there. And I'm like, hang on. Your dad goes and sleeps? What happens to you guys? She's like, well, sometimes he makes us sit in the back and watch our iPads. And sometimes he just makes us sit in the bleachers and we just sit with a friend. I'm like,
I got nothing. And what is she talking about? There's no good snacks at baseball games.
Well,
the nachos and yum.
Well, I think it depends on the level you're at, right? Because
that's true. Okay.
High school has it's basically like going to professional. They've got all the normal stuff there. They've got a full concession. This seems more like a guy's in the back of his truck, selling a Gatorade that might have been cracked open. We're not sure kind of thing,
I can't believe he goes and sleeps in the truck. We always say with kids, don't blink because then your time's gone. They just grow so fast. Ted's sister, his youngest sister, her due date is actually today. She's having a little girl and no contractions, nothing. But she's just in the beginning and I'm so excited for her.
Congratulations.
She's going to be such a great mom. Pretty phenomenal.
This is her first?
Yep. Her and her husband. Yep. It's their first.
Wow. So
yeah, I think about that and I'm like, okay, well, Abba's 9 and TJ is 18. It's, she's at the beginning of that journey.
Kelly was running the same thing in South Carolina. So she got together with one of her old high school friends. And like me, I mean, my youngest is a 7-year-old, right? And one of her best friends from high school has a 3-year-old. And it was so funny because you can't really relate anymore. Like you're at a different stage now. And she was like,
Yep.
did I used to care about all that stupid crap? And she's like, absolutely. But I don't now. And, you know, I've had 3 times to do that. I really can't do it again, you know, kind of thing. And she's kind of moved beyond that now. She's kind of like line in the sand, demarcation point. I'm not going back. We're only going forward.
It's true. It's true. Everybody's like, do you ever get baby fever? And I'm like, nope, nope. Now, if I see a baby, I love to hold little babies. Now, if they poop or like really cry, they've got parents. I am not that person.
No.
But I'll hold them all day long and I'll bounce them. It's funny because, you know, on our last podcast, he was talking about doing the baby workout. Well, I've been there doing the bounces and the squats. And yeah, I did it with both my kids.
See, Kelly, I don't remember. I mean, of course, we all did that kind of stuff because you want to stay active and you're holding it for so long that you got to do something, right? And you're not probably working out as much as you want to. But as a follow-up, Mike did send me this really funny, and I'll forward it to you, this cartoon that's actually like how to work out with your baby.
Oh, he sent it to both of us because I got it too. Yes. And
it looks like a 1920s.
It's true.
A circus guy who's like super ripped. He's got the, you know, the old mustachio. And see, there's my Italian again. We'll have to post it because it is hilarious, but it's a real, it's not like being fictitious. This is saying, hey, you've got a young baby. Here's how you can do squats. You can do, I don't know what they call them, upside, you know, push them up in the air, shoulder presses.
Push press.
Yeah, push press. That's what I was looking for.
But his garage gym is, I saw that dumbbell rack and I was like, oh, I want that. I want that in my life.
We'll see if we can get a good picture and post it for you guys. But basically, it's just like in the gym where it has this really nice tier.
Yeah, it's a triangle. Yeah.
Beautiful. And of course, because it's Mike, everything's put back properly. Because I know at our house, you know, Kelly would be like, well, the 20 goes here, the 5 goes here. You know, they would all be jungled up. And I'd be like, Kelly, put it back right, you know?
See, and I'm crazy with the weights that I have. I have shelves that I put mine on, and they all have to be the right way. The weight, you know, the number has to be pointing out. You have to see it. If you look at it, cannot be crooked. It has to be lined up perfectly. So then I know if TJ gets in there, I'm like, dude, you're not going to use them if you can't put them back right.
Talking about kids here, I think that having this conversation makes me appreciate those little things that I get irritated about, though, because like I would get irritated about that. But then I'm also thinking about like how funny it is. It's so funny to have, because I know at some point I'll walk in there. Like if I had to set up like you, it wouldn't be that way anymore. Like it would be perfect because that he's not there anymore. He's left for whatever. And at the time, it is so irritating. But looking back, even an hour or so, you're like, come on.
I mean, we'll joke about it. And I don't get mad at him for it. I'm like, dude, just, it's simple. Put it back right. It is so easy to just turn the weight. I mean, seriously, just put it back right.
It appears easy. It is not easy. I mean,
No
go to
kidding.
any gym.
It's
like
true.
How many people just leave the weights at the station? Nice and sweaty. Don't you love that?
Lazy people. Lazy.
See, the person that I always hated was that person that would crop dust you, that they were purposely walking around the gym, and you know who they were. They're usually, I hate to say this, but it's usually a fairly attractive woman, and they're just like looking at every, and they're crop dusting. And I'd usually call them out and be like, that's disgusting. Oh, it wasn't me. It came with me. I'm like, farts don't follow people. They come out of people.
It came with me. Oh, that's a lie. Gross.
What? And if it came with you, why do you stink that bad naturally?
Exactly. Did you not? We're not going to go there.
No, let's not. Let's not open that can, because that will unfortunately go somewhere that even I can't handle.
And I don't think there would be any coming back from that.
There's not a lot. It's not good. I can tell you that much. And I think that we owe it to our audience to not do that.
Right. We let it go, in the words of Frozen.
Let it go. Let it go. Did that?
So
just keep going. Sorry.
You nailed it. So, Justin, what setbacks are you dealing with today? What you got going on?
You're awesome, Kim. Inside, I'm just like, outside, I'll be like, hey, Kim, that's great. Let's talk about it.
I don't think you'd really say that. I think you'd be like, I don't like you right now.
Fair enough. For those that are longtime listeners, which I know most of you are, I've been so looking forward to doing the London Marathon, and I had to defer last fall because of scheduling. It just didn't work out. And then this time I had to move it for some family stuff that was going on in terms of juggling kids and everything. And I guess at the time I was upset last night. I basically found out last night, had to send the email, and there's a 6-hour time difference between us and London. So I woke up to the response, which is always fun. And I don't open my email right away, but it was like 7 a.m. and I'm looking at it and I was like, and they're so British and very friendly and just like, we're sorry to hear that. But
So when you read that whole email, did you read it in a British accent? I'm
How
just
could you
curious.
not? It
I
comes
was just
across so
curious.
like prim and proper, like, good day, Mr. Proust. How are you?
I just had to know.
Cheers. We wanted to let you know. It was upsetting last night, but I guess today, because it's been 16-ish, 17-ish hours, it's kind of sinking in more. So it's now kind of like really coming into play. And it's just irking me more and more. But I know in 24 hours I'll be over it in terms of I will have dealt with it appropriately. But right now I'm in this stage where it's like I will just because I'm much better now at accepting it. Like I would have brooded over this for a week a year ago. I know this. All this training, all this time, everything. Like this is a huge dream of mine and everything. Knowing though that I can give this opportunity to someone else because there's a huge backlog. So I know that the position will be filled. So that's great. I just feel let down on myself, I guess is basically the way to say it. Like I feel like I've done all this hard work. I'm really in such good place to do this. I was so excited. It was kind of this whole remembering, like going back to where I went to school, going back to my flat, seeing some old friends back there and everything. And it wasn't just about the race. It was kind of this whole nostalgic feel to it. And so I guess that's what's really hitting me now because it's one, I forget how much I miss London sometimes because it was such a fun city to live in. The thought of doing this in such a special place, like when you're running past Big Ben, you're running past Parliament as a whole, you're going through all these iconic, I think it actually runs across Knight's Bridge, just neat stuff. And ending in Greenwich, which is just a beautiful, very nice park. It's very, very cool. And so I guess I'm just dealing with it from the standpoint of I'm still digesting it fully now. And it's one of those that until we really started talking about it, it wasn't on the forefront of my mind because I've been doing stuff. But now that I'm thinking about it more, it's kind of like I'm sad about it.
Do you feel like you've let yourself down?
I guess so. Part of me says, absolutely, I definitely let myself down. But part of it is also the fact that I'm annoyed because I had to miss it once. And this was like a second chance. Like, this was my second chance to do it. Right. And I was so even better prepared, like everything. It's more of the fact that it's not just a letdown. It's more of the like, I don't ever let like chances like that slip by. And this one did. And I guess I'm more just questioning a lot of it. I don't know. It's a weird feeling. I don't know. Like at this stage, because it's still so fresh that it's an awkward feeling. That makes any
Okay.
sense.
If you had the opportunity to do it again, would you? Would you
To
try for a third time to
absolutely.
be able to run the London Marathon?
Oh, I'm going to try every year until I'm not able to do it. I guess part of it that makes it hard is that it's such a competitive thing. I mean, there's a lottery, there's everything else, and to get in and then to get in again, I know there's a reason I'm not able to do this. I believe in all that stuff. I believe that there's a lesson to be learned from this. There's all these things, right? It's just when you're going through it, it doesn't feel that way.
I will also give you another perspective. I know we were there for the first marathon, right? Took pictures that it was a half marathon, right?
Yep.
And then you were supposed to run a full marathon and you couldn't because you were sick.
I had
And
COVID. Yeah.
then it's time for you to run the London Marathon and it got canceled. There's a reason why all these things laid out. You never know.
No,
Maybe when you get to run it next time, we'll just all come watch you. Wouldn't that be cool?
that would be amazing.
I'd love to go back to London.
It's one of my favorite cities on earth, and I think it's one of those places that I also would love to have the kids see because it's so different than anywhere else in the states. Like there's nowhere where you can't. It's not like New York. It's not like L.A. It's not like Seattle. It's not like Houston. Like it's totally foreign, pun intended, than anywhere else. There's a different field. They talk different. The architecture's different. There's a culture difference. There's just everything, and it's one of those fun places because they speak English. So it's so different, but yet you can talk to everyone, so that makes it
Right.
kind of fun and it's great for kids. So I agree. There will be more chances. There will be other opportunities. I'm just got to get through this.
Yep. And don't beat yourself up because what's the point?
It's weird because logically you're 100% right. And I know that's the right answer.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know I'm
of
right.
course. Of course. I never doubt your wisdom. And
Shit.
it's just this
It's
one.
disappointing.
Yeah, but I know I'll get
Right.
over it. One thing we haven't talked about yet that I think is also irritating me, which isn't helping, is so my kids are on swim team, and today after school I have to take them to get fitted, and I don't mind doing any of that stuff. What I mind is that a kid's bathing suit is now $65.
You said fitted and I was like, for what? But now you said swimsuit. So
Yeah, $65 for a 7-year-old.
that's
Like
that's too much. I think that is absolutely ridiculous.
it's capitalism at its worst. Yes,
Yes, very much. They'll wear it for the season.
that's my point. They have
Yep.
6 games, literally 6 events that they go to, and that's it. And like my oldest son, they wear what are they called? Not slimmers, but they didn't have when I was a kid. When I was a kid, it was Speedos, but now they have like the like boxer short that's tied like a bike short kind of, they're like really.
Okay. Like spandex kind of?
Yeah, I can't think of the name anyways, but that's what all the kids wear those when they're racing because it makes sense, right? But he's not going to wear that outside of racing. Like
No.
he turns 14 this year. Like there's no way he's out there on display like, check this out, guys. This is me. Oh, heck no.
I'm shocked he's like, I don't want to wear this,
Jammers. Sorry, that's the name. They're called jammers.
Never even heard of it.
Like Michael Phelps, they just like if you watch the Olympics, it's those bathing suits that I don't know. They're too revealing.
Very much, especially for children. I mean, it's a
kids
lot. Don't need to reveal that much, I mean, in my opinion, I think
and
it's gotten bad.
It has. And the way I look at it is a 7-8-year-old should be able to wear like, I don't know, a normal bathing suit. I wear board shorts. Like that's what I still wear to this day. Where when I was surfing, I wear them now every time. No one at 7 or 8, even when you're training for the Olympics, you don't need to like, you're too young. Like just enjoy yourself, be out there, have fun, like do whatever. I would have loved to have Bailey wear. She has this like, she loves like princessy bathing suits from Disney. So like she'll have like an Ariel top with like a different bottom. I don't know what terminology, but they like look like dressy kind of things. And anyways, it's fun.
Does she wear a bikini or like a tankini or a one piece?
No. So when you're racing, at least that's one thing that's nice is you have to wear they only offer one piece. Yeah. But they offer
but like normally
cuts.
What does she wear?
I guess like a tankini kind of thing. As a dad with a 10-year-old, I don't want her showing her midriff, but I have to respect that that's kind of what everyone's doing. But it kills me inside. But yes, she loves that. And that's what she wears.
Well, Abba wears a tankini as well. But I mean, we swim in our backyard. No way will I let her wear a bikini. Nope.
No.
She's too little for that.
No. And I think it's important because, you talk about setbacks. It's like very few times in your life I found you get that chance to just go out and have fun, like just for innocence sake, have fun. And being a child is one of those times. And I think we have all these weird parents now that want everyone to either we sexualize our kids, we make them too fast, we do all these things to make them age so quickly because we want them at that stage for whatever reason. I think that we often forget how much fun it is. Like watching my kids yesterday, like we live in a place where you can swim this time of year. So my kids are out swimming every day after school. Watching them play is just awesome. They pick up everything. Oh, they found a spider in one of the drains and the screaming that goes on. And then they're trying to pick up the spider. I'm like, stop touching the spider, but we don't know if it's poisonous. All spiders are poisonous anyway. So,
So I get it. Even with Abba, with some of her friends, you can see they're on a different playing field. Their full innocence, if that makes sense, there's some of them I'm like, oh, you guys don't do stuff like this at home. I mean, it's the stuff that they say and listen to and watch and how they dress. I asked one of the teachers the other day, I said, do they not like dress code anymore? Fourth graders are showing like their midriff when their arms are up. It's like this much when their arms are down. And I'm going, no.
It's very weird because there's dress codes, but Bailey got called out one time on this because she's got her favorite pair of shorts ever. And we finally had to get rid of them because they're probably from when she was 8. And, 8 to 10, they've grown like 5 inches. And so they were like spandex on her. And the teacher was like, you can't wear this to school. And I was like, we let her go I was actually traveling when this happened. And she was like, Kelly, let her go. She's like, she loves it so much. I'm like, no.
I look at Abba and I said, you see like what they were wearing? I said, you will never, no, not for a very, very long time.
Okay. Now for all you gamers out there, I gotta let you know this. All right. So no holes on Tuesday. They looked like very, I don't want to say new, but newish. I mean, because they looked broken in. They weren't stiff, but I guess they were. That's what you said. But no holes, solid jean shorts, impeccable shirt. She had these awesome Hoka shoes on. Like Kim was set to win it on Tuesday. I called her out on it. I was like, those are great. And she's like, and she's right, though. You get that feeling, especially with jeans, like when they're broken in, because breaking in jeans, we can all agree, not a good thing.
Oh my God. Jeans just in general are so confining. And so I hate them. Up north, I didn't have a problem with them. That's all we wore. And since moving down here with the warm, I hate jeans. Like I hate them with a passion. They are so confining and I I don't like them.
For those of you that are listening to this, please go to our YouTube channel as well and check this out, because her reaction right there is just that visual alone is the quintessential Kim reaction. It's perfect. She nailed it. So I can't do it.
I patted myself on the back.
Absolutely. Now, I do have a question for you as we kind of wrap up here, though. One of the setbacks I had also was today. I was riding the Peloton this morning, and all of a sudden I got a little stiff, and I went to stretch, and I realized that one of my shoulder blades is like crazy tight, and I don't know like what I did, anything like that. I need some good stretches for this, because it's my right side, dead center of the like scapula, the shoulder blade. Any ideas of a good stretch? Because I was doing the over, I did this one, I was doing as many as I could think of, but it wasn't hitting that spot. It didn't feel like it was stretching it.
Go into like a child's pose and
Okay.
take that arm, put it underneath your body with your child pose, and
Ooh,
lean. Try that one.
that's a great one.
I
So
love
basically, what
that
you're
one.
saying is put your arms forward and cross one over and kind of push down a little bit. Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yep. That one works really, especially when the MS is bothering the one shoulder that I had an attack on. That's what I do.
It's one of those moves that when I was younger, I was like, ah, stupid child's pose. But as I get older, I freaking love that pose.
We like child's pose. It like
Oh,
really, yes. Well, Justin, I will tell you a struggle or a setback I'm having right
just
now.
about to ask you. Yes.
We talked about my MS and me having to get a brace for my foot. I'm really struggling with that foot not lifting. Like it really, really is discouraging to me, to the point that I've worked out, but not like I used to. It's very, very frustrating that it doesn't work like it used to. It's like, it's stupid. I know it is what it is. And I push through it and I stretch and I stretch and I stretch. But I'm trying to put it into words. It's very discouraging to know that I don't have the strength in that leg like I used to. It's very, very frustrating. I will tell you another thing that I did. Remember, we talked about recalibrating the Peloton?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I did. And it made it so much more hard. It's like I'm not even hitting the outputs that I was prior. I've been researching on, and they're like, no, you need to redo it. And
Wow. Well, those two things combined are very frustrating, right? Because you're
oh,
getting like
very
a
much.
double whammy. You're getting the thing that you love is becoming harder, and the ability that you're used to is not where it used to be. And I will tell you right now that seeing you Tuesday, because like we don't record in person as much anymore because of the setup, it's actually better this way right now. But we're going to try to get together more because it's important. It's fun, to be honest with you. So you don't notice it. Like to me, you still move, especially with the brace, like you still move like you used to. But I can only imagine the next evolution of things, I guess, is kind of what I want to say. Because you're not, I don't want to use the word loss, although you are, right? It's deterioration, it's that kind of thing. But
Very much.
it's got to be discouraging, but it's also your ability to adapt to it, though, is pretty interesting to me, because you're not giving up and you keep finding new ways and doing it and you keep pushing. I don't know. I think it's pretty inspiring.
Well, there's no reason to give up, because if you give up, you'll lose all the way around, right?
I agree, but I think that's
That
a
would be
great,
the easy thing to do, is to
that's
give
what I was
up.
going to say. And I think a lot of people do that, though, right? And it's not just with health, it's with so many things. They give up because they don't have the fortitude, they don't have that kind of attitude with it to keep pushing. And again, that sets you apart. And that you're staying on top of your health, which is so important too, right? Like you're going to your doctors very regularly. You've changed the way you eat. You're really cognizant of it. I mean, I thought it was really funny in the Mike interview, because the minute he started talking about anti-inflammatory, you're like, let's talk about anti-inflammatory. It's just, you can see these things that are hopeful for you. And I mean, everyone out there should be doing this stuff too. It's getting there. And I mean, I appreciate you sharing that with everyone, because I can't personally relate to what you're going through, but I can only imagine it. And
It's rough. Growing up, I was an athlete. I ran. I did soccer. I was center field for soccer. I was a forward. I did it all. And softball and all the sports, running track and field and doing hurdles. And I can't run to save my life anymore because of my leg. It's very very frustrating, but it's okay. Just to push through it and strength train. And yeah, it's difficult. And I've really been fighting with it the last couple days, but I've said it before, God has me here for a reason. Like I am here, and I push through, and yeah,
Well, and I mean, part of it, I guess, when we're talking about me, part of my frustration, and because you said this, I'll air it, is like I've taken for granted a lot of those things like ability and momentum and all that stuff because until you get injured, which I was,
Yes, you
you
were.
don't,
And then you got sick and
all those things, right? You don't really realize how lucky you are a lot of the time. And so
right.
I think part of my frustration with this is that I am so lucky to be able to run and to do these things and to not feels like a waste a little bit too in a weird
But
way.
it's
Like
not. But it's
I know
not.
it's not, but it feels that way because it's fleeting, right? Like you've only got certain time is moving forward no matter how much you want to admit it or not. By the way, I got the latest National Geographic. This is interesting. And they had in there, for those that are looking for it, it says 8 billion on the cover. And in there, there's this whole thing about longevity in animals. Okay. It was crazy. There's a jellyfish, and I love the ocean. I never heard of this before. That is like a Benjamin Button. It can go from old age back to larva and regenerate forever.
Interesting.
And it started getting me thinking of like the Greenland shark can live like 300 years. There are things like a bow whale can live like 700 or something. I mean, it was insane, like things that you just never think about, except for the jellyfish. Everything was finite, right? There's an end to it all, right? There is an end game here. And I think all of that coming together at a head at once and thinking like, look, you've only got a certain number of tries you can do this. You've got to make it work. And I didn't, it was kind of hard. And then hearing your story here and what you're going through is something that I think is really inspiring in a lot of ways because it's given me a lot of perspective on certain things, right? Because, when we would ride together and stuff and we would talk about lead leg and literally be watching and you'd be like, sometimes my leg will give out and I'd be like, let's just keep going. I'm not monitoring that. Like, I'm not going to pressure you in any way. And we would just have fun every time. But knowing that that could happen was one of those things that really put in perspective to me that stop being a part of my friends here, but a dump when it comes to fitness. Like make it fun, make it enjoyable, and enjoy the journey so much more because it could happen to anybody at any time. And I think that is a huge turning point and a gift for me because it's one of those moments that I can look back on all these times and be like, all right, I can repurpose my attitude towards it and realize you got to make a game of it. You've got to have fun with
Yep.
it. You've got to enjoy what you're doing and don't just do it to do it.
Right. Well, and you got to give yourself grace too in the times that you're struggling or you haven't succeeded or you get knocked back, just like you when you got injured and then you got COVID and you didn't get to do your race. You got to give yourself grace and know that there's a reason all of these things have happened. Maybe your body wasn't prepared. There's just so many other things on top of it. So you just got to keep pushing for it. You got to keep working for it, even when it's hard. I mean, I went from working out daily, daily riding the bike. And then I would do weights and then I would do core. And then, I would do for a long time stretching and to, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll get on the bike. Maybe I'll do strength training. And if I don't, I'm not going to beat myself up over it because I know I always have tomorrow.
And I think it's a really healthy attitude. And I think part of what's really fun about this show is you're very religious and I grew up Catholic and my belief system's very complicated, right? Like it's a lot more complicated than that. But at the end of the day, we do come together on many points. And part of that is the idea that there is something more, there is something greater, and there's a purpose for all this stuff, that grace is really important for yourself and for others a lot of the time. To give that benefit of the doubt, to extend that hand, to do things a little differently because we are all connected in some capacity. Like I think that's really important. And your stories, and I think what we do on the show resonates with a lot of people out there because whether you're going through it or not, there is something you're going through. You may not have MS, you may not have an injury, you may not have had to quit a huge event you were looking forward to, but there's something going on. You're a human being. The condition of being a human, there's always something.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
And
it's true.
I think exposing that and giving a perspective on it and talking about it from the standpoint of, yeah, it's real, but I'm not going to let it get me down and I'm going to keep moving in this direction. But I'm also going to be graceful about it in terms of giving myself grace. I'm not just going to be that bulldozer that keeps going. And I know I made this analogy before, but one of my absolute favorite stories of the last year was going to my chiropractor. And they said that their favorite clients are, I won't name it here, but you all know what I'm talking about. The people that go out and they flip tires and they do all that kind of stuff. And it's not just about the exercise, it's about the competition of it repetitively over and over again. It's insane because you will hurt yourself. Like, you are guaranteed to hurt yourself.
Right.
If you're on 24/7. It just, your body is not meant to do that. You're meant to sleep, you're meant to rest, and you're meant to do all the things you need to prepare for the next one. And if you look at your evolution just over this last 7 months of doing this podcast, you've evolved so much in terms of your attitude. It's inspiring because your realizations and your breakthrough moments have happened on the show, and it happened again here today because you talk about it. I don't even think 4 months ago you would have said some of the things you said today in terms of it's okay not to do this. Like, you would believe it, but you'd still push through. And I think that the reality of it, I don't know, I'm just proud of you.
Well, thank you. And you got to be vulnerable too. You just do. Does life kick you in the butt? It does. How do you get back up?
And when do you get back up?
Exactly. If you don't get back up, then we got some other things we need to talk about. But it's how you keep your attitude right. You got to stay positive. Absolutely. Am I going to get myself down about it? No, because I know I'll get back to it. But if I get down, I may never get back up. It's all about the mindset, how you approach it, give yourself grace and be vulnerable.
I agree 100%. And I'm going to share something because everyone knows you've aired it here in terms of what you're going through. I am going to share with them something you sent me. So even when she is in the doldrums and going through all this stuff, she still sent me a great meme the other day that said, has a cat on it. I guess
you can't see it.
Out. We'll post it though. It says, have you ever looked at someone and thought, shut the hell up, and they weren't even speaking? And then her tagline on it was, made me think of you. Happy Wednesday. That's the right attitude to have. Still sending laughter and joy, going through it all. I think that is just the epitome of everything. And I couldn't summarize it any better.
Oh my God. I read that and I was like, this is Justin right here. So I had to send it to you. It made me laugh so much.
Well, when it came across, Kelly, I was taking her to the airport and I was like, you got to check this out. And she read it and she goes, that is you. And I was like, all right.
I know it was you. That's why I sent it to you.
Well, Kim, I want to say thank you for their fantastic episode. I love our backdrop. I think this is a great way to start doing it. And I had a lot of fun today. Thank you.
It's always fun, Justin.
And that concludes today's episode of the Fitness
Manifesto. I know you guys enjoyed it.
And Kim, I want to say thank you to you and to our audience for making this podcast what it is.
Yes, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
And stay tuned for the next episode.